Hey, welcome travel fans. My name is Sean. I'm your host. This is the Sean Experiment, where we talk about cruise news, travel news, fun trips, and anything you want to know about travel, cruising, and all of that in between. All right, so check it out. One big story today. I want to talk a little bit about how it was handled. One cruise passenger's inside look at it and how you feel about it. So we're talking about, of course, COVID, how it's impacting cruises, how it's impacting stopping at ports, and everything else. So this story comes to you after there was 48 passengers on a Royal Caribbean ship that tested positive. They came back, reloaded the same shit up, and left. Well, another Royal Caribbean ship now making headlines. The Odyssey of the Seas left out of Fort Lauderdale on December the 18th. Now, it had 3 stops total on its trip, okay? They broke out with 55 cases eventually, but we're gonna talk about who got infected, maybe how they got infected, and some of the protocols on the ship so you know what to expect, but also how the ship and the company is handling the cases, the stops, and everything else. So first off, again, December the 18th, the Odyssey of the Seas from Royal Caribbean took off from Fort Lauderdale. They had 3 planned stops. The first was their own private island. Of course, Royal Caribbean has a really nice private island with a swim-up bar and so many fun things to do. Then they were going to Aruba and Curacao. Now, they went to the private island. Everything went fine. Of course, vaccines are required. The 95% of the passengers were vaccinated, which only means there were some children on the boat under the age of 12 because Royal Caribbean requires everybody 12 years old and older to have a full vaccination. And so 95% are vaccinated. They go to the private island. Everybody, I'm sure, has a fantastic time and they do their thing. Now, whenever they come back, come back on the ship, they start testing. And it started with the crew. I think it always starts with the crew, and that's going to be a key piece to this story. So it starts with the crew, and they get a positive case. So of course, they start, tracing, and they start seeing who was in close contact with them, etc., and more cases start to happen. So overall, what we know is the cases went up and up and up. However, Royal Caribbean had 55 cases. 52 of those positive cases were crew members. So that kind of makes me think, right? So 3 guests were vaccinated. Not vaccinated. They were all vaccinated. 3 guests got COVID-19 on the ship, and then 52 of the 55 were crew. So very, very interesting. They are also vaccinated. So we're kind of wondering, where is this spread happening, right? I'd be really curious to know, of those guests or of those crew, how many of the crew worked in the same department, say, right? They were all in, the pizza, line or whatever. They were all in the child care department, or is it spread throughout the ship? Really trying to figure it out. But with so many crew getting the COVID-19 and they're all vaccinated, what are they doing differently than the passengers? So anyway, they go to the private island after, I think, December 18th, they took off. Next day, they're at the private island. Instead of heading to Aruba and Curacao, the ship turns around. The ship goes back to Fort Lauderdale, docks in Fort Lauderdale, and lets off the guest and their close contacts due to a medical emergency, which, of course, we later found out was they had mild symptoms and they tested positive for COVID-19. So they turned around, brought them back to Fort Lauderdale. Then the ship said, we're going back out. Now, ship officials spoke with government officials in both Aruba and Curacao, and statements from those officials say, too many cases on board, on top of too many cases in our current locations on the islands, and we are not going to allow the cruise ship to dock. So the cruise is still out there. They're just basically idling in the middle of the water, so they just have a bunch of sea days. Now, we don't know exactly what they're going to do, Royal Caribbean, as far as compensation, but of course they're still putting on the cruise. There's been no mention of stopping the cruise. There's been no mention of even really stopping activities on the cruise. So we got a inside look from a guest. His name's Bob, and he was talking to a news station, shared some videos, and Bob says, great ship. great time. He's a little concerned about the protocols on board. And what he means by that is not necessarily the protocols in place, because those are good, he says. However, the ship is not really making the guest or the crew, for that matter, follow them. The mask wearing was a big piece of that. So, of course, Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Norwegian, and basically every other cruise ship now says you have to wear a mask at all indoor spaces when you are not eating or drinking. That would include, of course, the gym. That would include, I would assume, the art gallery, the casino, anywhere where you're not eating or drinking. Well, Bob, who sounds kind of like a snitch, I'm going to be honest with you. Bob was taking videos and goes, look at this yoga class. The instructor's not wearing a mask. Only one person's wearing a mask on board. He's taking videos of people in the gym where they have masks on, but technically they're kind of hanging down around their chin. And really his complaint was masking is not being enforced. And I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of like it. So everybody's vaccinated. With the new treatments that are out, the new, of course, vaccinations, but also the treatments that are out and different things, and everybody on board is vaccinated. And even though some people are getting it, really out of, I think it was like 3,600 guests, only 3 guests got it on the cruise. There's more people than that. Last night I went to a football game in Tampa. There was 80,000 people there. Nobody had a mask on. So if you can go to an 80,000 person event, I feel like I can go into a yoga class with 8 people on a cruise ship and feel just as safe, if not safer, right? So maybe I'm on the opposite side. So I want to hear you guys' comments, right? Is Royal Caribbean handling it right, or the other cruise lines? If there was a breakout between guest and crew on the ship, would you want to get off? Would you want to keep cruising? Right? And then flip side of that, would you like to see more CDC involvement in the enforcement and tightening of regulations around cruising so that we can continue to cruise? Do you want to see cruises stopped altogether until we sort of get ahead of this, which will be never? Or do you have some other idea? So share in the comments below. Are you a snitch like Bob? Or are you just trying to do the right thing? Or what's your thoughts on it? So that's all I got today, guys. It's Christmas Eve, right? Share some presents. Santa's coming tonight. Do not forget to put the cookies and the milk out. I'll come by and eat them and drink them if he doesn't. So hope you guys have an awesome, awesome Christmas. Happy cruising. Very excited. I'm in the 30s now. 37 days until my next cruise, and I'm super excited. So hopefully Bob doesn't ruin my cruise. But we'll see you later. Happy cruising, happy travel, Merry Christmas. See ya.